Hi everyone, Hannah here, taking over the Imray page for a little while so we can hang out. Hopefully this is working. I am not the best with technology and I tend to not have much luck. So if you are here to hang out with me, can you drop me a hello or a thumbs up or any kind of language? Just send that to make sure I know it's working. I've got one there. Hi Lucy. Hi, Andrew. Thank you. Awesome. That means it's working for once for me. Technology. We will manage. Awesome. Okay, amazing. So thanks for coming to hang out with me. I'm in sunny Southampton. This is my office. This is where basically I manage my campaign. Hi, Matthew. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a little bit about my history with you and how I came to be sponsored by Imray and what that means. Hello, Hannah. Hello, Helen. Hello, everybody. All the people joining at the moment. Very cool of you. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm going to chat with you, going to share a little bit about my story, and then we can hop on to a question and answer. And hopefully you guys have got some questions, some things you want to know about me, and I can hopefully share the answers with you, as long as they're not too rude. No rude questions. I'm mostly saying that to the people that know me, because I know some of you like to play tricks on me. None of that today. Cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. I started sailing when I was 3 years old. Loosest sense of the word. Basically, shoved in the front of a boat and told to sit down and shut up. Both my parents are horrendously fierce, competitive racers. My mum raced the 470, my dad raced the 505 in the Hornet class. But when I started sailing with them, we had a mirror dinghy. Pretty standard for most kids growing up. Mirror dinghies, oppies, all that kind of stuff. My childhood was spent on the water. From the mirror, I progressed into the 29er circuit. Now, this is probably an odd choice for most people. I'm disabled. For those of you that don't know, I'm missing my right forearm. So the 29er was a pretty bold choice. But for me, it was a way to show people what I could do. And I absolutely loved it. Now, the funny thing was, I absolutely hated the idea of disabled sailing, which sounds really bad, I know, but for me, disabled sailing looked like a weaker option. So it was not something I was really interested on. And from there, I sort of ignored it almost and didn't want to be a part of it. And then I got a phone call that changed everything. And it was from a Mr. Andy Castles, who's on the Isle of Wight. Some of you may or may not know of him. He's a pretty infamous sailor, and he gave me the opportunity to go and sail with him in his run up to the Sydney Paralympic Games. Now, I didn't want to go. I actually had to be bribed into going, and my dad ended up coming with me and actually ended up sailing with me to make me get on the water with Andy. But that weekend, it kind of changed everything, and it made me realize that disabled sailing wasn't weak. It wasn't any different to the sailing that I was doing on the able-bodied circuit. It was just racing. And that kind of put me on the path to the Paralympics, which I was lucky enough to get to 4 times. So I represented Great Britain at 4 Paralympic Games. Didn't have much luck, but that kind of has spurred me on to where I am today, which is offshore racing and my love for navigation. So I started with no knowledge, no qualifications. I didn't even have a day skipper ticket, and I went and got it. And the more I started doing chart work and proper navigation, the more addicted to it I got. And I'm obsessed with old school nav. Now, there's computer nonsense. Yes, I will check it on an iPad if I need to, but I love getting a chart out. So that kind of led me to my partnership with Imray. So long story short, I was about to sail from Dublin back to Hamble. So it was a delivery it was a mileage builder for me and a chance to skipper a boat double-handed. So I was doing all my prep work and I was out and about and I was hunting down the charts I would need to go on this trip. Now, problematic, the chart that changed it all. C51. So this chart started my whole relationship with Imray. I could not find this chart for love nor money, and I searched everywhere. So many chandleries, online, everything, and I just could not find it. And in the end, I put a tweet out saying, C51 is problematic, and has anybody got it? And Imray got in touch with me and said, would you like C51? And that's how my relationship with Imray got started. So this chart kind of changed everything for me. A random bay in Wales. So C51, thank you very much. Thank you, Imray, for supporting me now. So I'm really lucky. Imray provide all of my charts that I take racing. We use for prep, everything, and I'm addicted. So that's kind of my backstory and how we got to here and why I'm taking over Imray's page for a moment. So has anybody got any questions or anything they want to know? I've got lots of charts to show you if all else fails. Including that one. So this chart in the background, it doesn't obviously live there. I don't normally have a painting like a picture in my fireplace. I know it's an odd position, but this is actually the track that my team and I sailed when we raced around Britain and Ireland in 2018. So it's a pretty cool track, and it's a picture I use for inspiration. Oh, current plans for sailing. That's a tricky question right now, hey? Obviously at the moment there is no racing, no training, nothing like that. But we are trying to plan as best we can. Obviously no one knows what's going to happen currently, but we're still keeping plans in place for 2021 and all the racing that we have on the calendar for that period. So fingers crossed we'll get out on the water. You know, I have a view out onto the Solent and I'm missing sailing as much as everybody. So fingers crossed we'll be out soon. Oh, that's an interesting question from Jacqueline. Did I know where most of the floating rubbish was on the charts? No, actually. I do remember having one really bizarre incident where I marked on a chart a floating dead whale. So that was slightly traumatic when you go back through your charts and you find these odd things you've marked down. So that was a pretty bizarre one. Wow, cool. Thanks for the questions, guys. There's loads coming in here. Favorite offshore race? I think so far, probably the Fastnet. The Fastnet last year was the first time I've actually sailed around that rock in daylight. It's just bizarre. Every time I've gone around it or near it, it's been dark. So it's quite nice to actually see it in daylight. So Fastnet 2019, probably my favorite so far. What chart am I wanting to use next? Good question, Bart. This was the one I had out most recently. Western English Channel, quick trip to Cherbourg, anybody? That would be my next trip that I had planned to go and pick up a charter boat. So yeah, C10, if anybody's interested. Yeah, you did read that right, Matthew. I am planning to take part in the Vendée, but not this year's one. I'm actually aiming for 2024. Oh, Sandra, good question. Favourite place to sail in the UK? Well, I guess I have to be a bit biased and say the Solent. It's where we sail most of the time. And I love that it's just so different. Oh, another cracking question. Do you prefer fully crewed or double-handed or single-handed? I like it all. It's really difficult. I mean, we use different setups for different things. Like I love doing crewed races with my team. I love the motivation from them all. We have some pretty funny stories. We generally do pretty silly stuff, and we have a lot of fun with it. I love racing double-handed. I love learning from people, and double-handed for me is a great opportunity to sail with a coach. So that's also a really cool thing to do. And single-handed presents its challenges as far as I'm concerned, but that sense of freedom you just don't get anywhere else. So tough choice. I don't know. I like them all. Have I done any racing the US side of the pond, and the Bermuda race in particular? No, I haven't done the Bermuda race, but I've done a lot of racing over in the US. The Olympic Classes Regatta used to be in Miami, so I've spent a lot of time over there. And we actually used to base our winter training over in Tampa, Florida. So that was nice. 4 months out of the year spent in Tampa. So yeah, done a fair bit of racing over in the US. Thanks, Ali. Matthew, fondest memory of my first Olympics? Probably realizing that your accreditation, so the name badges you wore around your neck, could get you free food. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a bit of a fan of food. So yeah, realizing that free food was part of the games. So yeah, pretty cool. Guilty pleasure that I sneak into my bag. Anybody that knows me knows that's chocolate, and in particular Aeros. So yeah, I'd love to say it was a really healthy snack, and I do try to snack healthy. I've actually got some Munchy Seeds, which I try and snack on a little bit more than the chocolate, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't eat chocolate. Has my time as an Olympian ended? Good question. No, it hasn't. It's definitely something I'm still interested in and looking into at the moment, but it's an idea at the moment, shall we say. So yeah. Oh, this is a good question. For a one-off journey, is it tempting to buy an old second-hand chart? It is so much cheaper. Easy way to bring them up to date. Well, yeah, if you've got the time, you can go through all the Notice to Mariners and update your own charts. I mean, we all have to do it, but I'd say get the new ones. It's easier. It's much more efficient. Yeah, if you can get new ones, but if not, make sure you do update them and use that lovely fuchsia pen if you can. Who inspires me? Oh, that's super easy. I've got a massive list of people that inspire me. All the usual suspects are on there. Ellen MacArthur, Mike Golding, Dee Kafari, Sir Robin Knox-Johnston, Conrad Humphreys, you name it. I'm probably taken some form of inspiration from them. Favorite boat food? That's a really tricky one, but I'd love to say it was all the really healthy meals, but again, I'd be lying. We actually have a special treat that's a cookie dough that you rehydrate with the hot water, and it's amazing. I mean, we've literally had this food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's amazing. Yes, I do mention food a lot. Yeah, that is true. Sort of food we eat offshore, well, that's mostly rehydrated food because we don't have a cooker on board. We only have a jet boil. So we basically boil hot water and rehydrate our food. So I'm very lucky. I'm sponsored by a company called Tent Meals. So they make these. They're sort of little fab packages of yumminess. My favourite is the cinnamon porridge, which I have been known to have for lunch and dinner. Again, a bit sad, but it's my favourite. So that's what we take. They're nice small packages, super easy to store on the boat. When am I going to come sailing in Norfolk? Well, funny you should say that. I actually did used to sail in Norfolk because my grandparents had a house on the Norfolk Broads. So I have been spotted in Norfolk sailing. But yes, you are right. It is quieter than the Solent, Sandra. I would love to come and sail anywhere at the moment. Oh, the Golden Globe race. Yes. Yeah, it is a good challenge. You are right there. Not something I've considered. I think it's personally a bit bonkers, but not for me. I admire greatly the people that take on a challenge like that. But for me, I do love having the electronics, even though they don't always work. Where is the dragon? Someone's been paying attention, Sammy. So someone knows that I have a lucky dragon that has been with me literally everywhere, and has in fact joined a very special someone on the Clipper race. The dragon is here. This dragon I lent to a very close friend of mine, Sammy, who actually took the dragon on her Clipper race adventure. So this dragon has not only been to the Paralympics, has been offshore, it's also been on a Clipper adventure. So it's quite a well-traveled dragon. Good question, DDA. How much time do you need preparing for a race? A lot. We love to get the charts out weeks before any big race and actually start going through them, making sure we understand the route, making sure we understand the obstacles in our way, and actually prepping. And that preparation gives you such a sense of comfort almost when you do go offshore. Ooh, great question, Lucy. Scariest moment during a race. Losing all my electronics. That is a genuinely terrifying experience, and we had that around Britain and Ireland. We lost all of our electronics. We had a hole in the boat, so we had a bit of water coming in, and yeah, it was a definite panic, but it did remind me that I needed to come back to the calm that my normal navigation, my paper charts, I knew where I was, and I got comfort from the fact that I've been navigating properly and not just relying on my computers to do the job for me. Lots of love for cinnamon porridge here, guys. Love that. It is tasty, I will give you that. Proudest achievement. That's a really difficult question, actually, because it's taken me a while to actually feel like I have achieved anything, which sounds bonkers. And I actually use it now as part of my my talks that I give, and actually show people the medals that I've won and explain that they don't really mean that much to me, because I never actually felt that they meant anything. I wasn't proud of what I'd achieved with the Paralympics because I'd missed out on the gold medal. So I think for me now, the proudest achievement is proving to myself that I can do things. So finishing any race, finishing any training run, proving people wrong. So driving Cobra in the Solent and proving that I can do that. Those are the things that make me feel proud. Ooh, good question. Inshore or offshore sailing? Oh, both. Can it be both? I don't want to answer that. I love them both. But definitely, I do love the moments offshore, like sunset, sunrise, midnight dolphin playing, all of those amazing moments. So I'd probably say more offshore now, but I do love an inshore battle. What am I doing to keep up my physical training during quarantine? Good question, Ali. I'm very lucky. I'm supported by Peloton. Shameful plug there, but I am cycling every day. I'm also very lucky that I work with Pinnacle Performance here in Hamble. So I have a personal trainer, and she's amazing, checks in with me. So I'm basically keeping up with my program as I would have done in the gym. So yeah, not much different to training outside of quarantine. It's just I'm in my house doing it instead. So overcome the fear of starting solo sailing. Well, the first bit's always the scariest, right? I have a reminder that I was actually given by a friend of mine who said, you're more likely to get run over by a car than you are to hurt yourself solo sailing. And it's quite a nice reminder, actually, that yes, it's a risk sailing solo. But as long as you control what you can control, you do your job as well as you can, and you look after the boat, you'll be fine. And that's what I keep reminding myself. Good question, Matthew. How do I go about selecting which races to take part in? We at HSR, so there's a team behind me that look after Hannah Stodel Racing. We sit down and we decide over the year what's going to be the best races in terms of mileage, in terms of training, in terms of coaching ability, and what we can get out of each race, and how that ties into the bigger goal of one day getting to the Vendée. So we kind of balance it out. It's a sort of some team races, some mileage building, and we weigh it up like that. So depending on what's available during the year, that's how we select them. Jacqueline, best marina. Well, I guess I have to say somewhere in the Solent, otherwise I'll get shouted at. It was funny, actually, during my Yachtmaster prep, one of my friends decided that we should have a score system for all of the marinas in the Solent. And I think I might be wrong, she might correct me, but I think Lymington came out on top in terms of services available and best restaurants. So probably Lymington. Other than the Vendée, what future sailing aspirations do I have? Just more sailing. Obviously the Vendée is the big goal at the moment, but I wouldn't rule out anything else. I like proving people wrong, so I'm not going to say no to any sailing that comes my way. So take it that way. Top tip for passing the Yachtmaster. Preparation is everything. I'm slightly OCD in nature, so I prepped everything. So much so that Philippe, my examiner, was just amazed at how much I had prepared. I'll give you an example. I've actually got them here because I'm that sad. For the Solent in particular, I have all of these laminated notes with all of the pilotage, all of my notes, getting into each area, absolutely everything. And that's just what I like to have. So that's an example of some pilotage. That's just how I like to do it. And I think that's probably what got me through my Yachtmaster, the fact that I was definitely prepared and I knew I had that background knowledge to get me through. So for me, the Yachtmaster, the most difficult bit was actually like anything to do with handling the boat with the engine on. Totally useless. Like, set me any challenge where I can sail and I'm totally fine. But with the engine on, absolute duffer. So my top tip is just practice, and prepare as much as you can. Other than copious amounts of chocolate, what do I miss most when I'm offshore? My dogs, my family, probably quite high up there. I miss having that contact with people. Admittedly, I have a phone call every day with someone when I'm offshore, so I have a check-in time and I know that I'm going to speak to someone at that time, but it's still not quite the same as having a proper old cuddle with the dog or having a good chat to someone at home. So yeah, that's probably what I miss the most. Ooh, top tunes. Oh, I love this. I'm a bit into really, really bad rock. And I have been told on several occasions that my music choices are terrible. So much so that my playlist gets banned fairly often from the boat. So my playlist hasn't been updated in years, but rock, really, anything old school. I like a bit of Status Quo, a bit of Fleetwood Mac, a bit of anything really. Probably all thanks to my dad and his ridiculous sound system that he used to wake me up with. Oh, 5 or 25 knots. Well, how about both? Most important part of preparation for an offshore. Ooh, physical or mental? Probably mental, actually. I'd have to say that whilst you can be as fit or as strong or as ready, if your head isn't in the game as much as the rest of your body, it's very easy to fall down. So yeah, the mental side, I'd say we definitely put quite a lot of weight onto. I'm really lucky that I work with an amazing psychologist called Sean, who does a lot of my prep work and gets me in the right headspace and the right mindset to go offshore. So yeah, I am very lucky in that respect. Oh, wow. This is hard work, guys. Thank you for these questions. That's kind of awesome. I love it hanging out with you guys. Oh, but it seems we have slowed down. Does that mean there's no more? Can I take a sip of tea? Because, wow, I do love a good cup of tea. And yes, I drink a lot of tea offshore. but in a more idiot-proof mug, because I generally spill everything everywhere, food included. Awesome work there, guys. Well, it looks like everyone has asked everything that they want to. Oh, I'm glad someone likes my tunes. Thank you, Sammy. My old school taste in music perhaps isn't quite what my team enjoy, but never mind. But anyway, guys. Oh, how do I find my crew? Nice question from Lucy there. So my crew are a bunch of randomers normally. So I'm very lucky that through HSR, I've got some very, very loyal, very trustworthy people as part of my team. So Adam, who does a lot of racing with me, the big lad, he actually used to be part of my training crew in the sonar class when I was competing for the Paralympics. So he kind of just came with us and ended up transferring over to HSR. So he's been one of them. There's Alex. He doesn't like being called a boat builder, but he is a boat builder. So he prefers something like composites engineer or some, technically complicated name. But he's a boat builder and did a lot of my Paralympic boats and now has transferred over. So I race with him as well. And we have Hannah too. Yes, there's another one of me. So Hannah too came, funnily enough, came through some training that I was doing and some coaching, and I loved her attitude and she wanted to do something a bit different. So she came over to HSR and she has been a legend ever since. So she's part of my crew. And then finally I have Quentin, who again was another of my training crew. So yeah, they're my sort of steady crew. But I do like to take random guests on board. We have taken a number of people off with us as well. So yeah, that's how I get my crew together. What offshore races is on your to-do list? All of them. I would love to do the Caribbean 600. I wasn't lucky enough to be able to get a boat sorted this time around. That's definitely on my list. I would love to do the Transat Jacques Vabre from France to Brazil. That's definitely on my list. The Route de Rhum, also on my list, a good solo race to do. Yeah, you name it, it's probably on my list. Best quality in a crew, really good question. For me, it's not about who they are or what they've done. It's their attitude. And I learned very quickly with the offshore crude stuff that people change under pressure, and they change when they haven't slept, and they change when they haven't eaten. So I'm very careful with who I pick to take off on long races now, because I know people handle things in different ways. So I do, yeah, for me, it's just attitude and how you manage when you're tired, because we all get a bit grumpy when we haven't slept. So yeah, that's the most important thing for me. Oh, bar, sprit or pole? Oh, yeah, bow sprit every day. Pole's too much faff for me. I haven't got enough hands to deal with a pole, so definitely a bow sprit. Any plans for more talks? Yes, I'd love to do more talks, but sadly this quarantine lockdown hasn't been that kind to me in terms of work for talks and things like that. But once we're a bit more free to move around, I'll definitely be back out on the circuit doing as many talks as I can, because I really enjoy it now, which is funny because I never thought I would get there. Oh, hello, Cruising Association. How long my hair is. Yeah, my hair is definitely growing, which is annoying. But yeah, I used to have really long hair when I sailed in the Paralympics, but then I had the luxury of coming in every day and washing it. So since I've been offshore, I've definitely had shorter hair. First drink of the day, tea or coffee? It used to be coffee. I must say, I used to be addicted to coffee. But the issues I have with my kidneys, the fun fact for you, I've got 3 kidneys and 2 of them don't work. So I have to be quite careful with my hydration. And I actually found coffee really upset me. So I've been drinking a lot of tea recently. So tea now. How much am I missing tiffins? Good question. Anybody that lives on cows knows about tiffins, and for those that don't, you need to. Tiffins is amazing, and I absolutely love their milkshakes, and I do like to have meetings in tiffins because I feel like it's a really good environment for that. So yeah, I'm missing tiffins an awful lot right now. Yeah, sailing is an expensive sport. You're right, Helen. Mentioned some of my sponsors already. Who are the sponsors that have really come on board at the right time, save the day? Oh, quite a few. So CMS Law, they came on board in 2018, just before round Britain and Ireland, which was an absolute godsend. So basically 2 weeks out from the race, we lost the charter boat that we were supposed to use in a rather brutal way. We just received a text message saying the boat was no longer available. So we had to scramble to find a new boat and find the money to be able to pay for a new charter boat. So that was quite a frustrating time, and CMS stepped in then and helped us financially to get to the start line. So that was amazing. And last year, HFW, another law firm, actually came on board to support us with our Fastnet campaign, among other things, and actually signed up for the whole year in the end, which was just incredible and really, really amazing to have that kind of support and to know that people believe in you and your campaign. So yeah, HFW and CMS have definitely helped. But not just the financial sponsors. There's companies like Helly Hansen who just provide my kit without any questions asked, and actually that's really cool because it's a huge weight off my mind having that provided. And the same with Imray, you know, like someone's already said, charts aren't cheap, and actually having that support and being able to get access to the information you need is really, really, really cool and supportive, and it makes a huge difference to campaigns like mine. Most and least favourite role, job on board. Well, easy. Most favourite, driving every day. I love helming. I love surfing down waves. I love getting top speeds out of the boat. We always try to have competitions on board when there's a crew to see who can get the best speed out of the boat, which is always a good fun game. And even if it's not a crewed race, I still like to play that game against the autopilot. So that's always something entertaining to do. Least favourite job, probably arguing with the computer. We use computer software for navigation, but for the life of me, I haven't yet had a race where the computers haven't gone wrong. So anything to do with that computer system in the boat, really, probably my least favourite job. Cream tea, we know you love them. Yes, correct. I do love a cream tea. Yes, V-Day, we should all be having one. Oh, cream or jam first? This is a really complicated question. I don't want to get shouted at for answering wrong here. I do cream first, sorry. I know, it's so controversial, isn't it? Cream or jam first on your scones? Who knows? For me, it's cream. I'm sorry. I know it's wrong. Favourite place on the boat? Oh, that's a tricky one. I guess for me, there's some really comfy little seats in front of the nav station, which you can kind of wedge yourself into and sleep in. They're quite popular, I'd say. If not, I do love a beanbag on deck and just chilling. That's quite good fun too. You don't have much room to pack clothes for a race, true. Must-haves. Bit personal, must-haves. Merino underwear. Who knew, right? Someone recommended that to me. They're an absolute must-have. Anything thermal. I get really, really cold offshore, so I do love to have a lot of little thin layers so I can layer up. And then the one thing I never go anywhere without is the dry top that you can see back there. I actually joked with my team that we wouldn't need these. And since we've ordered them, we've not stopped wearing them. They're pretty amazing. So yeah, dry top is a definite must on the boats that I sail. On watch, sunrise or sunset? Ooh. Tough one. Probably sunset, because I do love nighttime sailing. There's something quite magical about it. Yeah, sunset. Ooh, top speed. 25.7 in the class 40 right now. So 25.7 knots so far. That's not to say that won't be beaten soon enough, no doubt, by the boys. I think the fastest was 20 odd knots. And there was some definite celebrations going on deck when they reached that. Am I going to Les Sables for the Vendée start? Yes, question mark. I think it depends what's happening with the world when we get to November. Ideally, yes, I love the Vendée village in Les Sables. I love the atmosphere. I love looking at all the boats. So yeah, definitely. If it's possible, I will be at the start of the Vendée. Awesome. Oh, any more for any more? I don't want you all to miss out on Churchill at 3 p.m. Oh, which do I find harder? Too much wind or too little? Too much. Basically, because I'm a bit nervous of, especially the class 40, they're such noisy boats. So in too much wind, it sounds horrendous. It sounds like the boat is breaking. So yeah, probably too much because it makes me nervous. Yes, so I think we're more than 6 women in the Vendée this year, I believe. But still, absolutely incredible to see so many women. Considering 2016 we had no women in the Vendée, so absolutely amazing and so important. You're right, Helen. Actually, getting women out there onto the start lines of these big races is just so important to raise awareness, and projects like the Magenta Project are doing an amazing job at doing that. So be cool to see if we can make it more. Rosé or gin? Obvious, really. Gin. None of that rosé nonsense. Gin and tonic every day. Come on. Team I'd most like to beat? Ooh, that's a tough one. Depends on what, though. Depends what race and what. But definitely French every time, especially on the international circuit. The French do love a good offshore race, so beating any French is always good. Oh, what charity work are you involved in? Good question, Samantha. So I'm actually a patron of the Nelson's Coastal Water Sports Trust. So they're doing some epic work up in Norfolk, getting people on the water in any format, which is really cool. I'm also working with a charity called Ditch the Label, who are an anti-bullying charity. So I do some work with them, raising awareness about the resources they have available for people struggling with bullying. I also work with Autism on the Water and a lovely character called Murray, who gets people sailing, which is just an amazing project. I'm really honoured to be part of that. Also working with the Andrew Castle Foundation on the Isle of Wight at the moment. He's getting people out sailing in sonars, so that's definitely something I can get behind. And I work with pets as therapy because I used to have a therapy dog, and I just know the difference that a therapy dog can make by going into care homes, hospitals, and things like that. Obviously not at the moment, but it's an amazing job, and it's really cool to see the difference a dog can make. So yeah. Do I do/like round the island race? Yes, I do round the island race occasionally. Best results are 3rd, I think. I think that was in a DM we did it that year. That was the best result we've had. I do like round the island races. Apart from every time I suggest to my team that we do round the island race, I suggest that we do it in a funky/crazy way. So one year I suggested we do it in a DM because it would be really fast. Unfortunately, there was no wind that year. It took us like 10 hours to get around the Isle of Wight. So that was pretty horrendous, after, especially as we had to have a chase boat with us because of the DMs. They do like to fall over. So poor Hannah too had to sit in a rib around the Isle of Wight for 10 hours. So that was pretty horrendous. So sorry, Hannah, for that. Yeah, I would love to do around the Isle race. It's definitely on the cards for this year, so we'll see what happens. After the Vendée Globe, do I fancy a spot on an ocean race boat? What doing? Yes, yes. Anything, I'll do any job. I'll cook if they want. Though I'm the worst cook ever, so probably not ideal. Yes, definitely. I wouldn't rule out ocean race. It's definitely something I would consider. Ideally, navigating would be fun, but there's a lot better navigators out there than me, so we'd have to see. But yeah, any job. How do I switch off? I read. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, which is a bit bizarre, but especially sailing, they help me switch off and relax. So yeah. Ooh, top tips. Oh, sorry, I swallowed my tea the wrong way. Top tips to get into sailing. Just go and try it. The RYA's really lucky with the Push the Boat Out scheme. Just go and try it. Find your local club, find your local sailing centre and go and sail. I'm not sure that's the question everyone wants to know. Toilet facilities offshore. I mean, really, we knew that question would come up eventually, didn't we? Does everyone really want the answer to the toilet one? Right, fine. Yeah, it's got a laugh on there. Okay, toilets offshore. The Class 40 doesn't have a toilet, so it's a bucket. It's that glamorous. Oh dear, I knew that question would come up. It comes up every time. Oh dear. Oh, guys. Well, it's nearly time for Churchill. I'm glad Sammy's backed that up with that. No, what happens offshore stays offshore. Good point, well presented. It really should. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and Imray. It's been really cool, actually. It's been nice getting to know you and have a little chat. And yeah, just hang out. It's really been good fun. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you've got any follow-up questions or anything you want to know, drop them in the comments and we'll try our best to answer them. But yeah, thank you so much for popping by. It's been really cool. So I'm going to end it here, hopefully. I might just blow up Facebook, we don't know. But yeah, thank you guys, and have an enjoyable rest of VE Day. I hope you get outside and enjoy the sunshine, get your cream teas at the ready, and enjoy Churchill at 3 o'clock. Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you later.